Hello, user testing community. It is Mike McDowell once again from the solutions consulting team here at User Testing, back with another tip of the week. Now, this week's tip is a little bit more on the serious side. I know a lot of my teams out there that I work with are dealing with staff reductions, trying to do more with less. And so as a result, as they're planning out the next year of usage and user testing, a lot of people are thinking, oh, well, I have less people, so maybe I'm going to do a little bit less testing and going to get a little bit less customer feedback. I am here to tell you today that that is the absolute wrong approach. When we have less people, it is more important than ever that we're working on the right things. And working on the right things is something we only find out from our customers. It's either through doing baseline testing on our live applications to find out what's not working. We can compare that with our regular analytics data to say, okay, our analytics data says this is what is not working, and now user testing is going to tell us why that is not working so that we can fix it to maximize revenue returns from our website, increase conversion rate, reduce bounce rate, increase lead generation, reduce contacts to our call center, all things that are critical when we have less staff. So definitely recommend doing those things. The other thing that I would strongly recommend is that when you're doing more testing, you do more prioritization testing. We've covered prioritization testing here in the tips of the week before, so I'm not going to go over it again, but the prioritization matrix, it's there for you to use. Make sure you're working on the truly most important things. And then the other thing I want to talk about is something that's not maybe as obvious, which is the amount of people that you include in your studies. Now, typically we all say, the Nielsen Norman Group, everyone knows 20, 30 years, 5 to 7 people will get you, 85% of the serious problems in any digital application. But let's be realistic about this. We know that the 5 to 7 rule was always a great one because it allowed us to do the minimum amount of contributors to get the maximum return, essentially. But there was one big limiting factor when all that was created, and it was our time. When those rules were set up, those guidelines were set up, we were doing physical lab-based testing. So to get 7 or 8 people, that took 2 full days of work, generally speaking, to get those 8 contributors to talk to you for an hour and collect all that feedback. It took more time to collate all the results, to put it into a report, to share it out to everybody. You were talking weeks of work here. With user testing, we know that's not the case. Whether it's 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, you're still going to get those results back generally in a couple of hours. And with the AI generated insights, that's going to be compiled for you into some actionable insights right out of the gate. So what am I recommending? I'm saying that instead of 5 to 7 people, I would recommend 10 to 15 people when it's critical that you're working on the right things. Why do I say that? Because getting 85% of the serious issues is wonderful, and it's super important. But again, which of those issues are the most important? And when you're doing 5 people or 7 people and 2 people say you have a serious problem with X, what if those 2 people were there by random chance? We know that it's not statistically significant, the results of a qualitative study. But if you added 10 more people to that study, and now you have 15 people, and it's still only 2 out of 15 people talked about that one thing, but meanwhile, 5 or 6 people talked about something else, well, now you realize that it's not 2 out of 5, it's 2 out of 15, and you have more important issues on the table that have been surfaced by those other videos. So in times like these, when teams are smaller, when you're getting concerned about the amount of resources you have to actually work on user testing, just remember that user testing is the most important thing you could be working on because it is truly getting the voice of the customer and bringing it into your team. It's like the 6-man award in basketball, right? It's the stands, the crowd, the customer, the fan. They're the ones who are able to tell you what it is that they're going to do to take your business to the next level. So if you want to truly be successful doing more with less, you need to bring the customer into the equation and get their feedback and make sure the things you spend time on, the things that your limited resources work on, are the things that your customers want. It is more important now than ever. So hopefully you start running more prioritization matrices. You start running more testing in general. And when you run that testing, you start running to a little bit larger sample sizes. I always recommend 10 people personally on user testing as the bare minimum. But now I would say, maybe it's time to go up to 15 when you're running your studies, especially if you're doing only 5 to 7. So that's going to be it for now. But don't worry, I'll be back again in 7 days with another user testing tip of the week.